With WrestleMania 41 this upcoming weekend, let's take a look at every single match that's currently scheduled on the card and provide our predictions as to who will emerge victorious. If you're new to the channel, my name is Jose Ramos Jr., a lifelong fan of professional wrestling, bringing you more professional wrestling content here on YouTube. So if you like the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, comment down below some of your predictions for WrestleMania 41, and subscribe for more content like this. Let's start with one of the more controversial matches that's currently scheduled for WrestleMania 41. Night 1 will see Tiffany Stratton defend her WWE Women's Championship against the Royal Rumble winner, Charlotte Flair. It's been a match that has been questionable in terms of its build. Like I said, a lot of controversy here regarding the promos, the back and forth war of words between Flair and Tiffany Stratton. One week it's making Charlotte Flair look like she's really the big dog against Tiffany Stratton, and then the next week Charlotte Flair kind of goes off script and allowing Tiffany Stratton to build up a little bit of more momentum. It's a matchup that I kind of wasn't really invested in early on in the build, but in these last couple of weeks, the level of intrigue I feel has certainly been elevated amongst most wrestling fans. With that being said, I know what I would want to see at WrestleMania 41, but this is a predictions video. It's not really what I want, it's what I think will end up happening. I think with the build between Charlotte and Tiffany Stratton, everything has been pointing in the direction of Charlotte Flair defeating Tiffany Stratton for that championship and moving forward in terms of request of becoming a 16-time world champion. She may already be a 16-time world champion if you count her NXT title reigns, but that's all semantics at this point. But then I look at the way it's been built. I look at the way the crowd has turned on Charlotte Flair, especially early on in those promos, and how there's a little bit of heat on both women regarding their own professionalism. And there is another matchup here on the card that may affect my prediction for this matchup. So, for my prediction, it's about what I want and what I want to see. And I think it's Tiffany Stratton successfully defends her title. I just look at the level of investment and time that they have placed in Tiffany Stratton over the course of the last year. And to go ahead and devolve away from that and allow Charlotte Flair to win the championship, especially in a moment that really doesn't need her at the top. If you want to have Charlotte Flair win the championship, you can certainly have that done later down the line at another premium live event, at another big event like Money in the Bank or SummerSlam. But for the purpose of this video, I'm picking Tiffany Stratton. I think this moment benefits her more than it would Charlotte Flair. I'm thinking Tiffany Stratton continues on her reign as the women's champion. And let's stick in the women's division here as Jade Cargill will be going one-on-one with Naomi in what a matchup I think is going to be a little under the radar. Could be an underrated gem here on the card. Certainly one of the first instances of Jade Cargill getting a superstar treatment on the singles level. She's been really close to Bianca Belair and Naomi this last year. So to see the turn, the heel turn of Naomi adds a level of depth and another layer to the story between these two, and it gives a great showcase for both women who had a solid 2024. I've been loving what I've seen from Naomi and this heel persona. Jade Cargill still looking very strong, and I think, of course, this being her first outing as a single star, I think they're going to use this as an opportunity to elevate Jade Cargill, make her more of a viable threat to some of these singles titles, whether it's a world championship or a mid-card title. I also love the fact that we're going to highlight Naomi in a singles capacity, but unfortunately I think she's going to be taking the pin, allowing Jade Cargill to continue her momentum up the card. It was also announced that the War Raiders will be defending the World Tag Team Championships against the New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, two of the biggest staples in the tag team division for the last decade or so. And I've loved this fresh take on the New Day. The heel persona of Kofi and Xavier is a breath of fresh air for me personally. And I look at the way they've been running these promos and having them complain to the crowd. And for me, it's a toss-up between the two. I don't think, though, that the New Day will win the tag team titles. I think it's going to be a great opportunity to highlight the War Raiders and the New Day, who have been the staple of the division on Monday Night Raw for the last couple months or so. I think the War Raiders get the victory here and finally put a stamp on the whole build of the New Day being a heel and complaining, and just putting a nice bow on it. Don't get me wrong. I would love to be wrong here and have the New Day go over, but I think the War Raiders get the victory here. It was also recently announced that Rey Mysterio will be going one-on-one with El Grande Americano, better known as Chad Gable for those who believe in that hoax of a theory. But we're going to see a couple of luchadors go at it on the biggest stage of them all. I think for me, this is pretty standard. Rey Mysterio is going over. It's It's going to be a way to get the fans going in a happy and a positive mood. Ray goes over. I think this is when we're going to have the mask removed from El Grande Americano, revealing it to be Chad Gable. Just a simple cool down match, probably going to be happening after one of the major matches. But Rey Mysterio goes over for me. As for the WWE United States Championship, LA Knight will be defending the title against Jacob Fatu in an intriguing matchup. We haven't seen Jacob Fatu in a lot of one-on-one matches, but we're going to see one here at WrestleMania 41. It should be the perfect opportunity to highlight the athleticism, the aura that Jacob Fatu has, as well as giving LA Knight a proper one-on-one matchup for a championship at the grandest stage of them all. Had a great showing against AJ Styles at last year's WrestleMania, and now coming into this year's WrestleMania as the champion, I find it very difficult to see Jacob Fatu taking a clean loss to LA Knight. I do think there is a possibility that maybe Solo Sikoa interferes and accidentally cost Jacob Fatu the matchup and setting up a feud between the two of them. However, I do think Jacob Fatu goes over, wins the U.S. title, and is going to have the rocket strapped to him as he leads out into the stratosphere, becoming the next biggest thing in WWE. And speaking of the next biggest thing in WWE, Jey Uso, main event. Jey Uso, at least not for this WrestleMania, he won't be in the main event, but he won the Royal Rumble back in February and has a guaranteed championship opportunity here against Gunther for the World Championship. Another matchup similar to Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair, what was kind of a slow build, but in recent weeks we've seen the heat being dialed up a bit here. Jimmy Uso and his unfortunate attack by Gunther really lit a fire under Jey Uso, and it's seeing a more serious and aggressive side of Jey that we haven't seen for quite some time. I think it's something that this feud desperately needed, and it's going to allow Jey Uso to really lock in and have a chance against the Ring General. Jey Uso, who is currently 0-3 against Gunther in a championship match for the IC title, the World Championship, as well as the King of the Ring tournament back in 2024. Thinking Jey Uso finally overcomes the odds, defeats Gunther, whether the IWC, the Internet Wrestling Community, wants to like it or not. I think Jey Uso goes over, has a huge celebration in front of the Las Vegas crowd, and Jey Uso will be the new World Heavyweight Champion. For the main event of WrestleMania Saturday night, it's going to be a triple threat match. Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins. A huge main event. Three of the biggest stars that this sport has to offer. You can really make an argument for any one of these guys to walk out of WrestleMania with their arms raised. The involvement of Paul Heyman has certainly made it more interesting. When I really think about who has the best chance to win, I look at CM Punk, and this story has been his story about main eventing WrestleMania, finally getting that opportunity to close out the show of shows. Roman Reigns caught in the middle between he and CM Punk and Paul Heyman and their friendship, and then there's the third or fourth wheel in this aspect, and that's Seth Rollins. Anybody could walk out victorious. I do think that most people are going to hitch their wagon to CM Punk. I personally would love to see CM Punk win this victory, being he's one of my guys. Roman Reigns is the OTC, so it would make a lot more sense for someone like Roman stature to walk out victorious. But then I think about this. Seth Rollins is caught in the crosshairs of both men, and while they're over here dealing with the Paul Heyman situation, keep in mind, Roman still has beef with Seth Rollins from WrestleMania 40 and years past. We saw in the steel cage match, CM Punk and Seth Rollins didn't have a definitive finish, so CM Punk still has the one victory over Seth. I think we see that get repaid. Seth Rollins, I think, pins CM Punk in the middle of the ring and emerges victorious. There's been talk and a little bit of speculation amongst the fans whether or not Paul Heyman will remain loyal to Punk or even Roman Reigns. Is there a possibility we see him turn over to Seth Rollins? I don't know about that, but I do think there is a legitimate shot here that Seth Rollins wins the matchup, and then it leads to a future match between Punk and Reigns. That story's not going to be finished, but Seth Rollins getting the victory over Punk puts a nice bow on that story, as well as kind of feeds into a future one-on-one matchup between Rollins and Roman, maybe at WrestleMania 42. And that's only for WrestleMania Night 1. Here we go for WrestleMania Night 2. Let's start with one of the more intriguing match stipulations being a Sin City street fight. Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest. two of the unsung heroes of 2024 for the WWE. In fact, I think there's a real argument to be made that Drew McIntyre is the MVP of 2024 for the WWE. I think he should be rewarded for his efforts, not only with the CM Punk feud, but the world title program that he had with Seth Rollins heading into last year's WrestleMania. Damian Priest had a hell of a 2024 himself. He was the leader of the Judgment Day for a minute there, had a good run as the world champion, in my opinion, and a great cash in at WrestleMania 40 that really started that whole run for Damian Priest. I do think, though, because Drew McIntyre has taken some L's to the likes of Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and of course, most notably, CM Punk, we have to build up a little bit more credibility for the Scottish psychopath. I think Drew McIntyre should and will get the victory over Damian Priest in what I'm hoping is going to be a vicious street fight. And we go from a street fight to a good old-fashioned fatal four-way, this time for the Intercontinental Championship, as Braun Breaker defends his title against Finn Balor, Dirty Dominic Mysterio, and Penta. This one I truly believe will be a barn burner. All four of these men have the capability to steal the show at WrestleMania 41. There is a possibility that any one of these men could emerge with that Intercontinental Championship, and it's been a common theme for this year's WrestleMania where a lot of matches have been multi-person. You look at the multiple triple threat matches, this fatal four-way matchup, even an NXT Stand and Deliver, which we will address in another video. But I digress. In this matchup here, Braun Breaker is not taking the pin. However, I do think he is going to lose the matchup. I'm going to guarantee a new Intercontinental Champion at WrestleMania 41, and I do think it's going to be Penta. I think Penta gets the victory. They've been hyping up Penta. He's becoming the new sensation in the WWE right now. It allows Braun Breaker to move up to the main event scene and challenge for the World Championship, potentially a rematch against Jey Uso, this time for the world title. And then you look at the Judgment Day and their drama. How about we have someone like Finn Balor take the pin in this matchup? Penta emerges victorious, and Finn Balor looks at Dominic Mysterio and says, "You lost the matchup. You're the weak link." And then we have a feud between Finn and Dominic. If you ask me, and if you're a betting man, I'm taking Penta to win the IC title. Let's stick with the Judgment Day, shall we? The WWE Women's Tag Team titles will be on the line as Lyra Valkyria and Bayley had recently won a tag team gauntlet matchup to face off against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. To me, this is just a standard matchup. I don't expect anything spectacular. Should be a good showcase for the women who have had a great year. I mean, Lyra Valkyria, the inaugural Intercontinental Champion. Bayley, who was, of course, one of the MVPs for the women's division. Liv Morgan had a great 2024. And Raquel Rodriguez making her return in the fall of last year. I do think, though, this title does not change. I think Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez retain the title, probably having the matchup earlier in the night as a successful defense for the Judgment Day. That way, the Intercontinental title match later in the night adds that level of tension in their build. I'm going with Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez to win a good matchup. And you want to talk about good matchups. I think this Logan Paul versus AJ Styles match has a lot of potential to steal the show. There's a lot of potential in this matchup. AJ Styles, the phenomenal one of the all-time greats at this profession. And Logan Paul, for better or for worse, is no slouch in the ring. I do think we get an ultra-athletic competition between AJ Styles and Logan Paul. What I am interested in is where does Karrion Kross fit into all of this? He's talked to AJ Styles about this feud. And what was really interesting in their latest interaction on Monday Night Raw was how AJ Styles was confronted by Karrion Kross, who said that we need you to win this matchup because if you lose, we all lose. And I think it lends itself to that credibility of AJ Styles being the phenomenal one and losing to an outsider like Logan Paul. I think if Logan Paul takes the loss here, it does not hurt him, and vice versa. I don't think either one of these guys losing really hurts their credibility. AJ Styles, at this point in his career, is solidified. He's a legend. Logan Paul, he's a great heel, so he can take the loss and move on to the next feud. I do think, though, I'm going with AJ Styles. I think AJ gets the victory against Logan Paul. I do think it builds AJ Styles back to the main event scene, possibly challenging for the World Championship. But I'm going to go with AJ Styles here, not because I believe it's going to happen, but also because I really want to see AJ get another victory at WrestleMania. We're down to the final two matchups for WrestleMania 41. And first, we're going to go with the Women's World Championship. This triple threat match is stacked. There was talks about it main eventing night one, but the men got that nod. They'll be main eventing night one. Instead, WrestleMania Sunday night, Io Sky defends her title against Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, a who's who of talent. These three women are the staple of the women's division. All the way back from NXT to now the main roster. I think if you asked any professional wrestling fan, casual or die-hard, one of these women is probably going to be their favorite in the division. They appeal to every aspect of the needs for a professional wrestling fan. The athleticism of Bianca Belair, the pure high flying and charisma of Io Sky, and the ultimate star power that Rhea Ripley possesses. If you were to tell me that one of these women were to win, I would not have an argument against it. I feel like there's a legitimate shot for every single one of them involved. I look at the build for the matchup, and we see Io Sky and how she's been kind of pushed around by the other two, almost treated like an afterthought and as a paper champion, where the real beef is between Rhea and Bianca. I would not be surprised if that is in play to have Io Sky emerge and retain the title. But there's just one little statistic that will not allow me to fully hitch my wagon to the theory, and that's the fact that Bianca Belair, as of this video, as of heading into WrestleMania 41, is 4-0, has never been beaten. I do think that's an intriguing stat to have. We have not had a undefeated streak of the likes of an Undertaker WrestleMania streak for sure, but is there potential to start building up an undefeated streak for Bianca Belair so that we can develop another layer to WrestleMania weekend? If you ask me, I think Rhea Ripley's probably the least likely to win the matchup. And if you ask me who's most likely, I think Bianca Belair. I'm an Io Sky fan through and through. You guys already know that as a member of the Main Event Mafia and subscribers to the J area. But for this video, I think I'm going to go with Bianca Belair to win the World Championship. We haven't seen her with the World Championship in quite some time. And fun fact, the last time Bianca Belair was the champion, it was at SummerSlam. And she was cashed in upon by Io Sky, who won the title from Bianca Belair. I think it's a great way to tie all the loose ends here. Bianca Belair goes over. Now it's time for the main event. John Cena, Cody Rhodes, the WWE title. WrestleMania 41. It's going to be an all-time show. I mean, we're talking about the ultimate babyface in Cody Rhodes. A guy who elicits reactions so pure as a babyface that we haven't seen in decades versus one of the more polarizing figures in modern WWE, who is now a heel for the first time in 20 plus years. Big fight feel between the two. A lineage of WWE champions have come and gone, but when it comes down to this one, it all pertains. Who will be the next champion? Will it be Cody Rhodes, leading the new generation into the Renaissance era, continuing on this wave of momentum over the past couple of years? Or will it be John Cena, the leader of the C Nation, someone that a lot of people consider to be the GOAT? And will he be able to say that he is a 17-time world champion? You also add into effect, where does The Rock play into this? We haven't seen The Rock since Elimination Chamber. I do think we get an appearance here at WrestleMania, though. The show is just too big to not have Dwayne Johnson there, to not have the final boss in attendance. I do think that with John Cena returning for this retirement tour, as well as being a heel and having everything, all the hype, all the anticipation, all the pomp and circumstance, how are you going to tell me they are not going to pull the trigger? But then you could also say, maybe they have Cody go over. Maybe John Cena develops more of a mean streak, becomes more desperate, and decides to cash in Money in the Bank. That's right, I'm thinking if Cena doesn't win this matchup, he wins the Money in the Bank contract and pulls the heelish move of heelish moves, and that's cashing in Money in the Bank on a vulnerable and defenseless champion. That's a way to book it down the line, but I do think John Cena goes over. I think John Cena wins his 17th World Championship at WrestleMania. I would not be upset at all if I'm wrong, though. I'm a Cody guy. But I think John Cena wins number 17, breaks the record, and is solidified as the greatest of all time. But hey, those are my predictions. I would love to hear from you guys in the comments. Make sure you drop them down below. What are your predictions for WrestleMania 41? Do you think John Cena wins his 17th World Championship, or is Cody Rhodes going to continue on another lengthy title reign similar to Roman Reigns? Of course, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you enjoy this type of content on YouTube. And of course, my name is Jose Ramos Jr. Hope you guys enjoy WrestleMania weekend, because I know I will. I'll see you guys in the next one.